I never imagined I'd be walking down the aisle in a dusty old chapel, tears streaming down my face, only to hear my soon-to-be mother-in-law whisper, "He's blind for life, dear. But you'll make a fine caretaker, and if you don't, this whole town goes under." Okay, let me catch my breath here. That moment still sends chills down my spine, y'all. Hi, I'm Mia, and if you're new here, welcome to my corner of the internet where we spill the tea on those wild, heart-wrenching stories that leave you rooting for justice. If you enjoy these tales of betrayal turned triumph, hit that like button and subscribe. It's quick, and it means the world to me. Now let's dive into how I went from being the town's sacrificial lamb to the one who brought the wolves to their knees. This all happened in Willow Creek, a sleepy little town tucked away in the Georgia pines, where secrets grow thicker than the kudzu vines. I remember the air feeling heavy that afternoon, like a storm was brewing even though the sky was clear blue. I was wiping down the counters at the local diner, the one my Aunt Clara owned before she passed last year, leaving me with a mountain of debts and a heart full of grief. Willow Creek wasn't much, maybe 2,000 folks tops, with a main street lined by oak trees and a few family-run shops. The big employer was Caldwell Textiles, the mill that kept everyone fed since the Civil War days. But lately, whispers were flying about layoffs, the place teetering on bankruptcy after Old Man. Harlan Caldwell died in a freak hunting accident 6 months back. That's when they came for me. I was mid-shift, flipping burgers for the lunch crowd, when Mayor Ellis and a couple of town council members, Mrs. Beatrice Langford, with her pearl necklace choking her like a noose, and Reverend Tate, all solemn eyes and Bible quotes, pulled me into the back room. "Mia Thornton," Mayor Ellis said, his voice low and gravelly, like he was delivering a death sentence. "We need to talk about saving this town." My stomach twisted. I wiped my hands on my apron, feeling the grease stick to my skin like guilt I didn't earn. "What's this about?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. I was 25, single, and scraping by after losing my parents in a flood when I was a kid. Aunt Clara had raised me, but now I was alone, drowning in her medical bills from the cancer that took her. Beatrice leaned in, her perfume overwhelming, sweet and cloying. "Ethan Caldwell, Harlan's son, he's blind now from that accident. Can't run the mill, can't even see his own hands. The bank's circling Mia. If the mill shuts, half the town starves." Her eyes bored into mine, cold as ice water. "But Harlan left a clause in his will. Ethan needs a wife to inherit fully, someone to guide him, manage things. Without it, the mill sells to outsiders, job's gone." I felt my knees buckle. "Me? Why me?" My heart pounded. A mix of fear and that sinking dread you get when life kicks you while you're down. Reverend Tate put a hand on my shoulder, heavy like judgment. "You're strong, Mia. No family ties holding you back, and, well, your aunt owed the Caldwells a favor from way back. This squares it. Marry Ethan, help run the mill under our guidance, and we keep Willow Creek alive. Refuse and those debts? They'll crush you first." The room spun. I thought of my tiny apartment above the diner, the stack of bills on the table. They weren't asking, they were telling. Betrayal hit me like a slap. These were the people I'd served coffee to for years, and now they were trading me like cattle. I need time," I stammered, but Beatrice's smile was sharp. "Wedding's in 3 days, dear. Best get fitted for a dress." That night, alone in my bed, I cried until my pillow was soaked. How had my life come to this? Forced into a marriage with a man I'd barely met. Blind and broken, all to save a town that never saved me. But deep down, a spark of resentment flickered. Why was I the one paying the price? As the days blurred, I numbed myself preparing. The dress was simple, white cotton from the thrift store, nothing fancy. Ethan, I'd seen him around before the accident, tall and brooding, always in flannel shirts, working the mill floor like he owned the place, which he kinda did. Now, rumors said he sat in that big Caldwell house on the hill, staring into nothing bitter as black coffee. The wedding day dawned humid, Georgia heat wrapping around me like a bad hug. The chapel was packed with townsfolk, not for joy, but obligation. Ethan was there in a suit, dark glasses hiding his eyes, his hand trembling slightly as he gripped the armrest of his chair. We exchanged vows, mine choked with unshed tears, his flat and emotionless. "I do," he muttered like it pained him. No kiss, no smiles, just a quick signature and done. At the reception in the community hall, folks milled about with punch and finger sandwiches. Beatrice pulled me aside, her grip tight on my arm. "Remember, Mia, you're there to care for him. Report back on the mill's books. We'll handle the rest." Her words dripped, with false sweetness, but I felt the threat underneath. Ethan sat alone, pushing food around his plate, isolated in his darkness. We drove up to the Caldwell house that evening, a sprawling Victorian with creaky porches and overgrown gardens. Ethan navigated with a cane, tapping his way inside. "Your room's upstairs," he said curtly, his voice deep but edged with exhaustion. "Mine's down here. We don't share. This is business. Keep the mill running, and I'll make sure you're taken care of financially. But don't expect more." I nodded, though he couldn't see, my chest aching with humiliation. Unpacking in that cold room, surrounded by dust and faded wallpapers, I felt like a prisoner in a pretty cage. Little did I know, the real betrayal was just beginning to unravel. Living with Ethan was like walking on eggshells in the dark, literally and figuratively. The house echoed with silence, broken only by the tick of an old grandfather clock in the hall. I'd wake early, make breakfast, eggs over easy, toast, coffee black like his mood, and guide him to the table. "Here," I'd say softly, placing the plate down, but he'd grunt, fumbling slightly before eating. His blindness seemed absolute. He'd bump into furniture if I moved it, ask me to describe the weather outside. But the unfair treatment started subtle, then built like a gathering storm. The town council, Beatrice, Mayor Ellis, Reverend Tate, they'd drop by unannounced. Checking in, they called it. Really, it was interrogations. "How's the mill's ledger looking?" Beatrice would ask, her eyes scanning the room like she owned it. I'd show them the books I'd started managing, numbers I'd crunched late at night. Ethan couldn't see, so I handled the paperwork, but they twisted everything. "Cut costs here," Mayor Ellis demanded one day, pointing at employee wages. "The town's suffering. Your marriage bought us time, but we need more." I felt my blood boil. "These are people's lives," I whispered. But Beatrice shot me a look that could curdle milk. "Your life too, Mia. Don't forget why you're here." Ethan, sitting nearby, would stay silent, his face a mask. Later, alone, he'd say, "Just do what they say. It's easier." His voice carried a weariness that tugged at me, but also resentment, like I was part of the problem. The humiliation deepened. At the mill, I'd go in daily, overseeing operations since Ethan couldn't. Workers pitied me, whispering, "Poor Mia, stuck with the blind boss." One afternoon, a burly foreman named Hank patted my shoulder. "You're a saint, girl. Ethan's a good man, but damaged goods." I forced a smile, but inside I seethed. Was this my fate? A caretaker wife in name only, betrayed by the very people who promised salvation? Nights were the worst. I'd hear Ethan moving around downstairs, slow, deliberate steps with his cane. Sometimes I'd peek from the stairs, watching him navigate the living room, touching walls for guidance. But something felt off. His movements were too precise at times, like he anticipated corners. I'd shake it off, blaming exhaustion. One evening, after a long day, I cooked dinner, fried chicken, collards, cornbread, the smells filling the house like a hug I craved. We ate in silence until I broke it. "Ethan, tell me about before the accident." My voice trembled, curiosity mixed with a need to connect. He paused, fork midway. "What's there to say?" His tone was guarded but softer. "I was in the army, deployed to Iraq. Explosion took my sight, or so they say. Came back a hero, but heroes don't save towns." Bitterness laced his words, and I felt a pang. "I'm sorry," I murmured, reaching for his hand instinctively. He pulled away, but not before I felt the warmth, the calluses from years of work. "That accident, it changed everything," he added, voice cracking just a bit. "Dad died, mill in shambles. Council said marriage was the only way." He didn't elaborate, but the pain hung heavy. As weeks turned to months, the betrayal gnawed deeper. The council started bypassing me, making decisions behind closed doors. "Ethan agrees," they'd say, but when I'd ask him, he'd shrug. They know best. I felt invisible, used. One night, storm raging outside, I confronted him in the kitchen. "Why do you let them control us?" Tears welled up, my voice breaking. He turned his head toward me, glasses reflecting lightning. "Because fighting blind is pointless." "Mia!" But his fists clenched. Emotion raw, frustration, maybe regret. I stormed upstairs, heart aching, wondering if this was rock bottom. Little cracks appeared, though. I'd find things moved. Books on shelves I'd described to him, perfectly aligned. Or the garden out back, weeds pulled when I hadn't touched them. Paranoia? Maybe, but the slow build was turning into something I couldn't ignore. The breaking point crept up slow, like dawn after a sleepless night. But when it hit, it shattered everything. By now, 3 months into this sham marriage, I'd carved out a routine, mill by day, house by night, council's shadow always looming. But the unfairness escalated. Beatrice started showing up with suggestions that felt like orders. Sell off that old loom section, she'd say, her voice honeyed poison. Profits for the community fund. Community fund? It was their slush fund, I suspected. After spotting discrepancies in the books, money vanishing into miscellaneous. I confided in Ethan one rainy afternoon, sitting on the porch swing as thunder rumbled. Something's not right with the finances, I said, my hands twisting in my lap. They're skimming, I think. He tilted his head, listening intently. Be careful. Mia, accusations like that, dangerous. His voice held a warning, but also a flicker of concern that warmed me unexpectedly. We'd started talking more, sharing stories. He told me about his deployments, the friends lost, the guilt that blinded him more than any explosion. I see their faces in dreams, he whispered once, voice thick with emotion. I shared my losses too, Aunt Clara's laugh, the way she'd sing off-key while baking pies. For moments it felt real, not forced. But the humiliation peaked at the town fair. Willow Creek's annual event, booths and Ferris wheel under string lights. The council paraded us like trophies. Look at Mia and Ethan saving the mill. Beatrice announced from the stage, her arm around me tight. Ethan stood beside, cane in hand, forced smile. Folks clapped, but I saw pity in their eyes. Later, alone with Ethan by the cotton candy stand, I snapped. This is bullshit, I hissed, tears burning. I'm not your prop. He sighed, reaching out blindly, his hand finding my arm. I'm sorry, Mia, this wasn't my idea. His touch lingered, gentle, sending a confusing spark through me. But then Mayor Ellis approached, pulling Ethan aside for a quick chat. I overheard snippets. Keep her in line. The plan holds. That night back home, I couldn't sleep. Pacing my room, I heard noises downstairs. Not the usual taps, but footsteps steady and sure. Heart racing, I crept down, barefoot on cold wood. The living room was dark, but moonlight filtered through curtains. And there, Ethan, standing by the window, no cane, staring out at the garden, staring, seeing. My breath caught. Ethan? I whispered, voice trembling with shock. He whipped around, eyes wide behind those glasses. No, not behind. He yanked them off, and I saw clear, focused blue eyes locking on mine. Mia. Shit. Panic flashed across his face, raw and unfiltered. You can see? The words tumbled out, betrayal crashing over me like a wave. All this time? He stepped forward, hands up. Let me explain. But I backed away, heart pounding with hurt and fury. Explain? You've been lying! The council, the marriage, everything. Tears streamed, hot and angry. He reached for me, but I slapped his hand away. Don't touch me. His face crumpled, emotion pouring out, guilt, desperation. It's not what you think. The accident. I was blind at first, but I recovered months ago. The council knew. They made me fake it. Why? I demanded, voice breaking. For the insurance payouts, the sympathy donations. The mill was failing because they were embezzling. Mia. Dad found out before he died. That's why the accident wasn't one. They killed him. His words hit like lightning. Shocking twist unraveling everything. I sank to the floor, sobbing. And me? Just a pawn? No, he said softly, kneeling despite no need, his voice thick with feeling. They forced the marriage to keep eyes on me, but meeting you, it's the only real thing in this mess. His hand hovered, then gently wiped a tear from my cheek, tender and real. The breaking point? It wasn't just the lie. It was realizing the depth of the betrayal, how deep the council's rot went. But in that moment, amid the pain, a fire ignited. I wasn't breaking. I was forging. The discovery shook me to my core, but it also lit a path through the darkness. That night, after the shock, Ethan and I sat in the kitchen under the dim light, spilling everything. No more pretenses. His eyes met mine, clear and intense, holding a vulnerability I'd never seen. I woke up in the hospital after the explosion, he started. Voice low, hands clasped tight like holding back a flood. Doctors said permanent blindness from shrapnel. But 6 months in, vision started returning, fuzzy at first, then sharp. I told the council during a meeting about the mill. Beatrice's face. She smiled, but it was cold. Keep it quiet, she said. The payouts are saving us. Turns out, They'd been siphoning funds for years, fake invoices, ghost employees. Dad confronted them. Next day, he's shot hunting alone. My heart ached for him, betrayal mirroring my own. Proof? I asked, leaning in, our knees brushing. He nodded, pulling a hidden folder from a drawer. Documents, emails, bank statements. I've been gathering this, faking blindness to spy. Bumping into things on purpose, listening to their whispers. The marriage? Their idea to plant someone loyal? But you're not like them. I felt a flush, but pushed it aside. Why not go to the police? Fear, he admitted, eyes dropping, emotion raw. They have pull. Mayor Ellis's brother is the sheriff. And guilt. I felt I deserved the darkness after Iraq. Lost buddies because of my call. His voice cracked, tears welling. But you showed me light, Mia. Your kindness, even when I pushed away. We talked till dawn, piecing the puzzle. The council's web was vast. Kickbacks from suppliers, land grabs disguised as community projects. My aunt's debts? Inflated by their loan sharking. The shocking twist deepened. Harlan's will wasn't just a clause. It was forged partially, with Beatrice's signature hidden in the fine print. As days passed, I played along, acting the dutiful wife, reporting nothing unusual to the council. But secretly, Ethan and I dug deeper. I'd sneak photos of documents at town hall, him analyzing them at night. One evening, in the garden under blooming magnolias, he took my hand. Thank you, he whispered, voice thick, for believing. My heart raced, feelings bubbling, attraction mixed with trust. We're in this together, I replied, squeezing back, the touch electric. But tension built slow. Beatrice grew suspicious, dropping hints like, Ethan seems steadier lately. I smiled sweetly, spilling no tea yet. Inside rage simmered at their betrayal, using my desperation. Ethan's trauma for greed. The climax of discovery came during a late-night mill break-in. I heard noises. Woke Ethan. He guided me down, but really, we confronted intruders, hired goons sent by the council to destroy evidence. Ethan dropped the act, fighting them off with precise moves from his army days. Run! He yelled. But I grabbed a wrench, swinging wild, adrenaline surging. We subdued them, tying them up. Interrogating, they confessed, paid by Mayor Ellis to torch files. Proof in hand, the truth crystallized. The council wasn't just corrupt. They were criminals, murderers. Emotion overwhelmed me as we sat amid the chaos. They took everything, I cried, Ethan pulling me close, his arms strong, real. But not us, he murmured, kissing my forehead tenderly. The slow build erupted into resolve. We had the ammo for revenge. With the truth exposed between us, the revenge unfolded methodical, like knitting a net to catch the sharks. No rash moves. We built slow, layering evidence while maintaining the facade. Ethan remained blind in public. Me his eyes, but at home we were partners, equals. First, we digitized everything. Scans of forged wills, embezzlement trails leading to offshore accounts in Beatrice's name. I used mill computers after hours, heart pounding at every creak. Ethan hacked old emails, Army tech skills paying off. Uncovering chats about Harlan's accident. A hired hunter. Paid off. Karma whispered in the details. Reverend Tate's charity sermons? Funded by skim donations. We anonymously tipped a state auditor, planting seeds without fingerprints. But the emotional core was us. Nights planning, we'd share wine on the porch, stars twinkling. I never thought I'd feel again, Ethan confessed one evening, voice husky with feeling. You woke me up. His hand cupped my cheek, thumb tracing my lip, sending shivers. I leaned in, our first kiss soft, then deepening with pent-up passion, betrayal's ashes birthing, something beautiful. The plan escalated. We faked a mill crisis, leaked leaks about shutdowns, drawing the council in. At an emergency meeting in the town hall, Beatrice sneered, "See? Without our guidance, it fails." But I presented cooked books, our trap, showing losses that implicated them. Sudden drama hit when Mayor Ellis confronted Ethan privately. "We know you're slipping," he growled. Ethan, still blind, recorded it all, admissions of murder, threats. "You'll regret this," Ellis spat, fear cracking his voice. We allied with unlikely folks. Hank the foreman, who hated the cuts, provided witness statements. Slow build to high stakes, we submitted evidence to the FBI anonymously, but held back for the finale. Personal karma stung. Beatrice visited all false concern. "How's married life, dear?" Her eyes gleamed maliciously. I smiled, spilling tea internally. "Eye-opening," I replied, watching her squirm. As pieces aligned, tension peaked. Ethan and I grew closer, mornings in bed, tangled sheets, whispers of love amid plans. "You're my hero," he said, eyes shining with emotion. But revenge called. Justice for Dad, Aunt Clara, us. The trap set. We waited for the confrontation, hearts united in the storm. The final confrontation brewed like a Georgia thunderstorm, dark clouds gathering before the deluge. We'd timed it for the town meeting, packed hall buzzing with anxiety over the mill crisis. Ethan wheeled in, me guiding but under his blanket. A laptop with everything. Mayor Ellis banged the gavel. "Order! We're here to save Caldwell Textiles." Beatrice stood, preaching unity, but her hands trembled. I took the podium first, voice steady despite my racing heart. "Folks, you've been lied to," gasps rippled. "The mill's not failing, it's been robbed." I projected slides, evidence, flashing, forgeries, transfers, the hunter's confession. Chaos erupted. "Lies!" Beatrice shrieked, face paling. Reverend Tate prayed frantically. Then the twist. Ethan stood, shedding the wheelchair like a skin. "I can see," he declared, voice booming with raw power. The room froze, shock electric. They made me fake it for payouts, killed my dad to cover tracks. He played the recording, Ellis's threats echoing. Beatrice lunged for the laptop, but Hank blocked her. "Enough!" Ethan roared, emotion pouring, years of pain, betrayal fueling him. "You used my guilt, Mia's desperation. Karma's here." Tears streamed as I joined him. They forced our marriage, but truth freed us. We held hands, united. The crowd turned, boos, demands for arrests. FBI agents, tipped off, stormed in, cuffing the council amid screams. Beatrice wailed, "It was for the town." But karma bit hard. Her pearls snapped, scattering like her empire. In the aftermath, Ethan addressed the stunned folks. "The mill's yours now, worker-owned, honest." Cheers rose. Justice emotional, palpable. As they were dragged away, Ellis glared at me. "You bitch." But I felt victory, from victim to avenger. With the council in cuffs, Willow Creek breathed free, but the echoes lingered. The mill thrived under new management. Wages up, no more shadows. Ethan and I rebuilt the house, gardens blooming like our love. Nights by the fire became our sanctuary. Quiet, steady, the kind of peace earned through fire. The crackling flames in the stone hearth threw golden light across the room. Dancing on the rebuilt walls, the polished floors, the deep leather sofa where we always ended up. Ethan would pull me close, his arms strong around my shoulders, my head against his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heart that once beat with so much hidden pain. One such night, as embers popped softly and the moon filtered silver through the mullioned windows, he spoke low, voice thick with everything he'd carried. "I was lost," he said, fingers threading gently through my long wavy hair, pulling me even nearer until there was no space left between us. His breath warmed my temple, completely. "For years. Then you found me. Or maybe we found each other." I tilted my head to meet his eyes, those dark, soul-deep eyes that had once hidden so much, now open, raw, full of gratitude and something unbreakable. My hand rested over his heart, feeling the faint ridge of a healed scar beneath his shirt. "We did," I whispered back, throat tight with the same emotion. "And we're not lost anymore." The firelight caught the faint shimmer in his gaze, the way his jaw softened, the quiet strength in the way he held me, like I was both anchor and home. In those moments, words weren't always needed. The past had tried to break us, force us, shadow us. But here, in the warmth we'd rebuilt together, all that remained was truth, love, and the simple, profound certainty that we'd come through the storm. And come out whole, side by side, eyes wide open, finally free. Nights we'd sit by the fire, reflecting. "I was lost," he said, pulling me close, voice thick. "You saved me." Kisses followed, passionate, healing. Town healed too, apologies flowed, community real now. But the win was personal, from humiliation to triumph, betrayal to justice. Looking back, that forced marriage was the spark that ignited change. Betrayal hurt, but revenge, sweet karma, brought emotional justice. Shocking twists taught me strength. Now Ethan and I face the world together, eyes wide open. If this story hit you in the feels, subscribe for more tales of triumph over treachery. What's your take on karma? Drop it in the comments. Until next time, stay strong, y'all.